Dearly beloved, we gather here today to talk about butts.
Oh my god.
So hi, hey, hello, welcome back to my channel where you should always do as I say and not as I do. So I naturally came out of the womb very small, very like stretched out, kind of a praying mantis twig. And let's just go ahead and preface this entire video that I recognize growing up scrawny is what like a lot of people aspire for. And also I recognize that society is not nearly as harsh on my insecurities as it is on other people's insecurities, but also people can still have insecurities. So the summary of my preface is everyone is beautiful and maybe let's just all be kind. But yeah, for pretty much the entirety of my existence, I was like, man, I am a washboard. And again, not that there's anything actually wrong with that. If you are sitting here watching and are also a washboard, like good for you, man. But if you don't want that, you don't want that. But anyway, basically 2 years ago, I found out you could grow a butt. What? Yeah, that's I mean, I'm sure you all know by now, but like that's a thing that you can do. And so I jumped on the train and was like, okay, I'm gonna make this happen. And if you're looking at my thumbnail picture and are about to comment because you don't have a life, that my butt is not even that big. First of all, I know. Second of all, I am almost 6 feet tall. My body, my muscles, they're very long. It is hard to grow this way. And 3, because the whole reason why I was gonna do this video is a lot of people, man, I'm such an influencer, but a fair amount of people did ask for like how I did this. And I started writing out and I wasted so much time planning out this whole video and then looked at it and was just like, this is not new. Pretty much all the information that I was writing can be found anywhere else on YouTube. So I'm just gonna do a 5-second summary, and that is you need to eat more than you are letting out. You also need to be eating proper foods that are actually going to grow muscles and not just strictly fat all over you. And you need to be doing weights and not very much cardio. Done, that's it. That's like literally I wrote like a 25-minute video, that's it. So instead I wanted to share with you 10 things that basically I wish I had known, I have now figured out, but like I feel like nobody tells you these things, and these are more of the details that one should actually know. So the first one is when you are squatting, don't put your ass out, kids. Like the amount of people, men, women, aliens, when you are squatting are just full on like fully thirst trapping. Like if that's what you're here to do, totally okay, man. I like no shade. But ultimately, you're not squatting properly. So like if your goal is to thirst trap, like do your thing. But if your goal is to actually grow some butt muscle, when you squat, don't do that. And the reason why, there's many reasons. When you are squatting, ideally you will have a bar across your shoulders because again, you are weight training. When you put your butt out, first of all, like just immediately, like that motion, if you sit here and do this, look at me go, your chest is moving forward, and that is not something that you want to do. You will hear a lot, people are like, make sure your knees aren't over your toes. Yes, you do want to aspire for that, but that arguably comes down to your body shape. But anyway, the point is that you will hear a lot about your knees, which definitely is important. You always want to be pushing your knees out when you squat, but you also want to keep your back straight. Like ideally when you squat, your upper body is just going down. It's because you are trying to get your legs and your quads and your butt to work, not moving forward, shifting that weight. So when people say sit your butt back, that does not mean like literally only your butt back, that means sit with your butt back. Hopefully that makes sense. Second thing, carbs are your friend, but make sure they are complicated. Yeah, eat complex carbs. For me at least, growing up, the whole, like the amount of diets, and don't even get me started on diets, oh my god, if you want to hear me yell. Every like diet is always like, oh, don't eat carbs, carbs are bad, carbs are only gonna make you fat. Here's the thing, you're trying to add some weight on there. So you do ultimately, I'm not saying you just want like a 100% carb diet, but you do want to be incorporating some. You do want to go heavy on protein, which no, you do not have to be a meat eater to do. Additionally, you also obviously want to make sure you're getting actual nutrients in, but also don't be afraid to eat some noodles. But you do want to swap out complex carbs. So this is meaning like brown rice. There's like chickpea pasta out there, also a good route, or you could just go with like whole wheat. Bread isn't bad for you, but again, you just want to make sure that it is like not the kind that you want to eat, like the really like seed-filled fiber that you know what I'm saying. Thirdly, I know I'm gonna offend some people with this, and this is arguably optional. I don't recommend following Instagram models. Again, this is personal preference. So what works for me might not work for you. What works for you might not work for me. This should be applied to every thought you have. Talking about you whiners in the comments. But what I have found a lot is people will be like, oh, I'm gonna follow these Instagram models and these butt models because they post really good workouts, or they inspire me because I wanna look like that. But here's the thing. First of all, half that crap isn't even real. I don't buy it with a cellulite. Which again is perfectly acceptable. Well, do whatever makes you happy with your own body. But what I am saying is when you are following these things, a lot of the time I think that that does a lot more harm than good and will usually derail you a lot more than actually inspire you. Like, your workout shouldn't strictly be driven. I mean, like, I literally just told you I started working out this way to grow a butt. Ultimately, you're doing this to be healthier, to be stronger, to have more physique that you like, yes. But I find that by like constantly having these in your face, you just compare, why don't I look like that yet? Like, I've been working out. Like, here's the thing, when you're trying to gain weight and you're trying to grow a butt, like, this takes so much time. If you were properly doing this, and obviously there's different factors in here. Like I said, I am tall. It is going to take longer for me to look a certain way, but also if I was shorter and was trying to go the opposite, that is harder when you're shorter, you know what I mean? So like, everybody, we just come out different, it's fine. It'll take years, so like ultimately what you're trying to do with this is make more of a lifestyle change. And I know that I sound like a motivational pillow, but also when people are like, oh, they provide such great workouts. I mean, there definitely are people, like, and like sometimes people will post videos and I'm like, oh, that is a good idea, I'm gonna save that for later, like I'll just come across it and whatever, like that's fine. I find that a lot of the time is kind of crap. So I'm not saying that there aren't good workouts on there, but I feel like it's very easy, especially if you're starting, especially if you're just trying to make like point A to point B. It's a big time waster. Like, constantly switching up your workout routine, like every time you're doing something different, isn't going to get you where you want nearly as fast as just continuing to add on weight. Like, the whole point, like, yes, you definitely should every few months be changing your routine so that your body doesn't get used to it. But this kind of also leads me to my next point, is sticking with basics. But every single time you go in there, or if that doesn't really work for you, like every week that you are going in there, you are adding more weight on there. So you are doing, again, basic thing. You are doing deadlifts, you are doing hip thrusts, you are doing lunges. None of this stuff is fancy, but here's the thing, is that it works. And also, if you add weight on there every time, you're going to be making those muscles bigger because they are having to push harder, versus like 15 different ways to like stand on like a hip abduction machine. Like, you don't need that. Again, I'm not saying that there are people aren't out there that are benefiting from that, but what I am saying is that if you are just trying to efficiently like come in here and like get some stuff happen, you don't need to be doing that. And I think a lot of the time, by constantly changing your routine every time and like following all these like new moves, like it's not like you're incorporating one new thing each time. Like, again, that is different. But what I'm saying is that you can end up wasting a lot of time trying to make this weird move work for you. And it's like, am I even using the right muscles? Is this even really where I should feel this? And like, half the time too, it's like you could end up injuring yourself or just like screwing something up. And it's like, really, you just don't need to do that. There's a reason why basics are basics. Oh, and basics are basics. So piggybacking off of that onto my next point, I've always kind of done this even when I was doing like lighter weights just for like toning. What I've always done is on a notes app on my phone, I will come up beforehand. Today I am doing these 6 things. And again, they are usually very basic and to the point. I'm not here to be fancy, if you couldn't tell with me in my sleep shirt. And then I will also, next to each one of those, so for example, I will have, actually, let me just pull up my list for you. Squat 40 by 10 by 4, which might not make any sense. But what that means is the last time that I was in the gym, I am additionally adding 40 pounds, and I can't do the math. So it's just like whatever the bar is, on each side I am adding on 40 pounds, which actually means 80, but like, this is just however your brain works. But I have the amount of weight on there, also the amount of reps that I am doing, and the amount of sets that I am doing. And I do that for all the things. So like, I usually do my squats with a wall sit, and I superset both of those. So I have underneath that wall sit, I have 45, meaning that I have 45 additional pounds sitting on my legs. By 75, meaning I hold it for 75 seconds, and I do that 4 times. This is nothing innovative, but what it does is if you write this down every time, then that means like, say that I work my legs out twice twice a week. I do this 2 times during the week, and the next week I try to add on even just the smallest amount of weight, or to do it a little bit of a harder way. Like sometimes I can't, but maybe I'll add like a band, or I'll try and just make my lunge deeper. Like I try and push myself in some way, so even if you can't, you're just gonna die, add any weight on there, you are still at least pushing yourself somewhat further, so that maybe that week you didn't add weight, but the next week you are able to, and you actually have it all tracked, and you can go back through. Like I just change it every time. I don't actually like keep track of my progress, but if you wanted to do that, you definitely could. But anywho, this kind of takes us 2.6, and that is superset with intention. It's supersetting. It's kind of a trendy thing. If you don't know what it is, it's just when you do 2 moves right after another, or you can do 3 moves, or you can do whatever you want to call it. When I say do it with intention is, I don't mean just do it because someone on the internet told you to do it. Think about the reason why you're actually making this happen. So like I said, I always do my squats, and then I do wall sits in between them. And the reason for that is I know a lot of people don't like doing squats, and like that's also very popular on the internet. It's always like how to grow a butt without any squats. And I get that, because again, I feel like a lot of people that are trying to do this usually are not nearly as like tall and are not shaped quite the way that I am. Or even if you are, you just happen to be more quad dominant. I do not have this issue. My hamstrings really like to take over. Because of that, I don't usually do as many deadlifts. That's not to say that I don't include them, because they do not have like beneficial properties of just doing them, but I do usually do more squats than I do deadlifts because of my body. And this is now finally bringing us to my initial point, and that is I do wall sits in between them, because wall sits will like destroy my quads, but are also a good active rest. But by doing that, not only am I getting an active rest in between, I'm intentionally like really working out my quads, so that when I go to do a squat, I can use, it's like if my quads are tired, I can focus more on my butt muscles, so that when I'm getting down into that squat, I can feel and like use my glutes more, because my quads are just like done. And so it also forces my glutes to like step in, because otherwise I am gonna fall and die. But anyway, on to point 7. This video is getting too long. When you are deciding what weight to do, is usually whatever I'm doing, I want the last 3, so 8, 9, and 10 to just be like, I don't know if I'll be able to finish these. Like again, don't push yourself too much, my God. But if those last 3 are really making you work for it, that is a good sign, because you don't want to just be like, it's otherwise just like a waste of time. If you're like, oh yeah, I could do 10 of these, no problem. Like, what is the point? Another thing people do not make clear enough is stretch your freaking hips out beforehand. Every time, people, I go to work out my legs, I sit there and do little leg swings. I do 20 this way, I do 20 that way on each leg. I find that since I have started stretching my hips out every time, I do movements better and how they're supposed to be, because my hips aren't in some weird getting tense position, and overall just makes everything better, so just do it. Now, the last thing that I feel like people do not say enough, or maybe people just don't listen to enough, I don't know. Don't just work out your butt. I know it's like you don't really want to be in the gym, so you're strictly trying to just like get in, get out, get that butt popping and leave. But largely, like the people that you want to look like and the people that you are comparing yourself to, they might not actually have nearly as big of a butt as you think that they do, but their waists are like real tiny, or their shoulders are real big, or just like there's something else going on. Like honestly, half of the battle, I swear, is just creating an illusion of an hourglass figure. And not to say that the only reason you should be working out your whole body is to, you know, look a certain way, but I'm just saying if you are trying to look a certain way, like that is a good chunk of it. But additionally, so many things are connected. Like you are not going to be able to do certain things proper, like certain moves properly, if you don't have core strength. And so instead, I mean, like I know it seems easier to just grow a completely superficial butt muscle, and hey, if you want to do that, do it. But again, I think that if you are going for that, it will still help you working everything out, and additionally you will just feel better, and it will help you when you are going to do those glute and leg workouts to have other like supporting documentation. That's not the right word, but anyway, I'm done. But yes, thank you to everyone who asked for this. Unless this was trash, then sorry. But I hope you guys enjoyed. Go stretch out your freaking hips. Remember that you cute, and have a nice day. Bye, thank you for watching.
Consider this an invitation to my gangster name.